Hi BookTube, this is Kelly with Books I'm Not Reading, and I'm here today as part of ShakeTube to talk about Hamlet. As I'm sure you already know, the moderators for ShakeTube this year are the one and only Steve Donahue, the fantastic Lukash at Totally Pretentious, and my really tired husband Jason of Old Blues Chapter and Verse, and I think he'll be posting his video tomorrow. We're both super tired, so it's been a long day. And I really don't have anything profound. I wish I did. I wish it's like a really tremendous thing to share with you about Hamlet. I actually saw Hamlet performed. I think I would have been, let's see, I want to say I would have been like 18, 19 years old. And I was traveling with my grandmother and my mother, and part of our tour we went to Stratford-upon-Avon. And of course, my grandmother and my mother were like, no, like Hamlet's too much for us. And I was like, well, I'll go, I'll gladly go. And even have my ticket here. I was in the stalls apparently. Let's see, price $26, but that's gone up a little bit since then. I think though when I saw Hamlet, I was so overwhelmed by being in Stratford-upon-Avon and getting to see something performed by the Royal Shakespeare Company. And this program is so beautiful and so cool. I'm really glad that I've saved it over the years. I think I showed it last year for ShakeTube, but these were the costumes. You can tell it was a very modern interpretation. And the other really cool thing in here is that it has pictures of some of the more famous portrayals of Hamlet. Something just fell out there. But I think I was so overwhelmed by the setting and therefore missed somehow how incredibly brilliant this play is. I loved this play, and when I finished it last night, I was just totally blown away. I mean, I knew what was going to happen. I knew the story, it's a bloodbath at the end. I'm glad Horatio gets away to tell the story. Here's the other thing I found with my Shakespeare stuff. So I must have bought this because that was the play I saw. So I had to add to it. But I really, when I finished reading this last night, I was astonished and irritated with myself that it had taken me so long to get around to reading it. And now I feel like I need to read it every single year. Like, frankly, it could be part of every single ShakeTube. There's an unlimited amount of things to talk about with Hamlet, and I don't even really know where to begin. Like, I'm still, in some ways, I think I'm still sort of trying to process the whole experience of it. It was so it read more almost like a novel to me. I liked that there wasn't really a narrator or a clown kind of figure or a fool kind of figure. That we just had to. There was action, and it's so long. It's I can't remember now how many lines it is, but I mean it's an incredibly long play, and so all of it is rarely performed. And so to get to read it and see the full scope of it, it's just phenomenal. I mean, really, if you haven't read this, like you do need to put this on your TBR, because it's like nothing else. And I even went to our good friend Harold Bloom, who wrote Shakespeare: The Invention of Human, and tried to read a few of his thoughts about Hamlet. And even he of course has a lot to say. I didn't read all of it, but talks about, like, in all of world literature, like even ancient literary figures, hardly anyone holds up to Hamlet. Like, I think he suggests perhaps Ulysses, Helen of Troy, Achilles, like those sorts of literary characters, that otherwise Hamlet stands alone as far as a literary figure. And even just talking to Jason about it, one of the things that Harold Bloom does say is that the word questioning is used in this play, like, I want to say 17 times. I'm not exactly sure. And granted, maybe that doesn't seem like very much for a play this long, but it's used a lot. And I just kind of pestered Jason with the questions about it, the poor fellow. Like, but everything we talked about really was just, it was a question about, like, is this real? Is this not? And I don't, like, is Hamlet's madness real? Or is it something that everyone is going around saying that he's mad, and then he does finally kind of lose it? I mean, Ophelia to me seems to be much more unhinged than Hamlet. I think at times Hamlet's sort of playing a game of being crazy. I'm also was frustrated that his mother and uncle think he's mad or self-indulgent because he wants to grieve for his father. Why would anyone begrudge him that? Why would and I think it's because it makes at least Claudius at least feel uncomfortable, right? This other figure wandering around the court in black, you know. But I think it starts off as just grief, and all the stuff with the ghost. Oh my goodness, it's so great. Like, it's just so pulls you in. And again, Harold Bloom says, like, all of the deaths at the end of the book, none of them would have happened without the ghost, which I think is really interesting. Like, none of those deaths, like, and I actually thought the death of Polonius, which is earlier on in the play, was like the point of no return. From that point on, like, Hamlet's fate is, and the fate of many characters is lost, or their fate is determined, and they're all going to die, basically. But man, there's so many great lines. My buddy read I'm doing, somebody sent me a question yesterday about you know, how was I doing with my reading goals, and I responded, I think this line is absolutely fantastic. Now could I drink hot blood? Like, wow! I mean, it's so intense. And that's the other thing that Jason and I have been talking about, is how many scenes are they're just so intense. They're just so packed with emotion and feeling. And again, I know I'm just gushing and rambling, but it's just such an important piece of literature, and I'm, like I said, in spite of getting to see it, I somehow missed its brilliance. Imagine that. But I'm so glad that I finally read it. I feel really, really good that I finally read it. And now, like I said, I feel like I need to read it every single year. Because it is so important and it is such a fascinating story. And I look forward to reading this is our library copy. Jason has the second quarto. I'm not going to go into the second quarto in the first folio, but anyway, so I'm looking forward to reading other editions of it with different notes and different introductions and things like that. So, and maybe I will one day read all of what Harold Bloom has to say about Hamlet, but I think it's just a play of real feeling and great questions. It's just, yeah, it's fantastic. So, I think my battery's dying on my iPad, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. But thank you for watching me gush about Hamlet. And remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much, BookTube. Bye.